So in this video, we're going to run through how to find e-commerce leads using LinkedIn Sales Navigator. It is a little trickier to find e-commerce leads in Sales Nav than traditional B2B leads. So we're going to show you some tricks and some tactics you can use to really hone in on a better audience. Let's get into it. So to start, when you hop into LinkedIn, there's lead search and there's account search. Account search, searching for companies. Lead search is for contacts. And the best way to approach this, in my opinion, is to basically do job titles and keyword search and a combination of the two. So if you want to go down, go to job title. And the first method here is to focus on e-commerce job titles. So you might say, let's say e-commerce. There we go. And let's do one more and we'll do e-commerce. And what we're going to see is we're not going to see a perfect list of leads. We're going to see some consultants, some advisors, etc. And there is a solution here. You can see a co-host, so on and so forth. So we want to narrow this down a little bit further. So to do so, you can apply some other job titles here. I'll say advisor. I'll say host. I'll say consult, just consult. This applies to consultants or consulting. So it's kind of a beneficial, it's beneficial just to kind of use a shorter key term instead of a full key term. So similarly, for e-commerce recruiters, I might want to say just recruit instead of recruiter because this applies to recruiting and it also applies to recruiter. So we'll go ahead and add that as well. And once you're here, you can hover over these and just click that block or exclude button. And now we're going to be excluding anybody who uses that key term consult, host, advisor, recruiter, etc. So let's look through here and see if there's any other key terms we might have missed that we could exclude. So I think this looks pretty good. You can see there's some weird companies like JP Morgan, et cetera, on the right here, or HP. And we obviously don't want to get in touch with those companies at this moment. So what we can do here is scroll down. We'll go to industry. And there's no e-commerce or overall e-commerce industry. So what we'll have to do is apply things like fashion, apparel. I think those are both applied automatically. Let's see here. Apparel and fashion. Maybe we can even add something like food and beverage. There we go. Now what we're going to see on the right here is a much more narrow audience. People applied to real e-commerce companies like fashion, food and beverage, et cetera, et cetera. So when we apply that e-commerce job title, it's great. But if you're only applying that, obviously it's going to be lacking some specificity. So by adding these industries, it's obviously getting much better. The last thing I'd recommend here is to apply company headcount. And if you're wondering in terms of how data companies, here's a little secret for you guys, how data companies do estimated revenue numbers. They generally do estimated revenue numbers by the headcount multiplied by industry comparables in terms of salaries. So say in the e-commerce industry, maybe people make $75,000 or $100,000 on average, multiply that by the number of employees you'd like to go after. And that's how you can kind of target revenue ranges within companies. So it's a really easy tactic there. So we'll go ahead and just say 50 to 200. And that's a larger e-commerce company. 11 to 50 is like a successful e-commerce company, but maybe nothing crazy. That's, maybe $1 million to a couple $1 million in revenue per year. So here we go. Here's a list of leads related to e-commerce. I think it's pretty solid. And that's that's the first method you can use to really find these leads. The other option here is to shift where you're targeting these key terms. So maybe let's get rid of e-commerce in the job title section. You could still apply a job here or a title here like CEO, Chief Executive Officer. You can say CMO, depending on who you're going after. We also say owner. I think owner is a pretty common, owner and founder are both very common within the e-commerce world. So we'll go ahead and apply those. The next thing you can do is actually apply those key terms that you want to search for in the generic key term section. And again, if you're unaware, what's going to happen here is when you apply key terms at the top right, these are actually applying to the entire profile, where if you're applying it in the job title, of course, it's only applying to that data point, which is the job title. So this is just a broader search. These key terms are applying to the overall profile. So we're going to go ahead and say e-commerce, fashion, etc. So there we go. It looks really solid. So here's another way you can do the search, right? Company headcount, job title, and of course, you use that key term e-commerce in the top right here. Another last way to do it is the most specific. It's a little more manual, but it does still work all the same. So we'll go to accounts here. We still have those filters applied. Great. And now the next thing here is really focus on the industry for the most part. So you can see here, we're filtering for retail, fashion, apparel still. And that's the main aspect here is you want to filter for those retail companies. I'm going to go ahead and shrink this down just slightly, 11 to 50. There we go. And if you want to focus on companies that sell pants or watches, you could say, watches. Now we're getting companies of watches. You could say pants, shirts, bikini. There we go. And now we're basically filtering for e-commerce companies that sell some type of apparel, right? So on this page, you're filtering for companies. So the key terms you're searching for are more going to be related to the descriptions of these companies as opposed to the industries themselves. So once you have these filters in place, you can go ahead and select a bunch of them. It only allows 25 at a time. When you do this, you can either click Save the List or just go ahead and click View Current Employees. I'm going to open that in a new tab. But when you do this, you'll see a list of all those employees who work at those companies. And now your job here is to scroll down and apply filters to the job title and the person you want to get in touch with. Maybe it's CEO, maybe it's Chief Executive Officer, which is the same thing, owner. We'll do co-owner just in case. Then we'll also, of course, apply founder and co-founder because e-commerce loves to have owner and co-founder in place. Okay, there we go. So there's 62 results. So this is a really specific search result, right? We started with around 1,000 plus results. And after applying the filters, we now have a list of 62 people who are really honed in, really narrow. They're all related to e-commerce and fashion, et cetera, et cetera. And the reason is because we were searching for pants, shirt, bikini, or clothes. So basically what's happening is we're seeing the founders of a bunch of companies who mentioned pants, shirts, clothes, et cetera, in the description or on their company's description. If you want to find watch companies or car companies or what have you, of course, you can adjust these key terms in the top right here, and you'll find different types of companies. And of course, I recommend pairing this with industry filters if you can. So those are really the 3 ways to find leads on LinkedIn Sales Navigator. If you're wondering where the filter is for technology on LinkedIn Sales Navigator, it used to be under the account filter. So you could go over to accounts like this. Scroll down and there'd be a technology filter at the bottom. It was actually sitting there for around a year, but it just wasn't working. And LinkedIn has since just completely removed that feature and they're no longer updating it or adding it back. So you cannot filter by the technology used like Shopify or WordPress, which is pretty unfortunate, but just if you were looking for it, just be aware they have since removed it. And now the next question is, we have this list of leads. They're really solid. Now, how do we get in touch with them? How do we find their contact information? Well, it's actually pretty easy if you have the right tools. We're going to be using LeadLoft for this. And what we'll do here is we'll hop into playbooks. We'd build a new playbook and it might look something like this. It might look like Founders Outbound. It might have some steps like automated email outreach. If you have a sales team, you can ask them to do cold calling as well. There's automated connection requests on LinkedIn and automated messages on LinkedIn as well. And basically the goal here is to just engage them and book those meetings. So once you have this set up, you can just hop back into Sales Navigator, go to those leads, make sure you select that playbook, Founders Outbound. Maybe we'll select a segment just to keep things organized as well. And this is the LeadLoft Chrome extension, just in case you're wondering. And then there's this big save button. So when you find somebody you want to get in touch with, just scroll over it and click save. We'll click save on a few of these people. And now what's happening is we're automatically saving their contact information, verifying it in real time, and then adding them to LeadLoft. And we're actually engaging them in LeadLoft as well. So now if I go back to LeadLoft, just go to my pipeline, they'll pop up under new. Here's Jack Archer, Refo, et cetera, and we're searching for the email. So if we give it a moment here, we will be able to find the email. It does just take a second. We'll see how long it takes. But that's essentially how it works for the most part. And if I open up one of these leads, you can see we're actually actively engaging Johanna here. And you see she's in that playbook, the Founders Outbound demo playbook. And then the last thing with this is you want to take things to the next level. You can actually go to playbooks, click new playbook, click the AI prospector and just say CEOs of e-commerce companies located in the US. There we go. We'll click a segment here. We'll just say that founder segment, click continue. And now it's building an audience in the background. And then the next step is to build it by hand or with AI. We'll just say we help e-commerce companies scale revenue growth. I'm not sure what you're pitching here, but whatever it is, maybe make it a little bit better or more specific than this. But we'll just go ahead and click generate with AI. Now it's going to write that playbook. So email steps, LinkedIn steps, et cetera, et cetera. You can see we're asking it to include 2 emails, 4 LinkedIn steps, and also include some cold calling tasks in between. So there we go. It's built it out. E-commerce revenue growth. It's pitching it. It looks really solid. Go ahead and click use playbook. And then the next step here is if you want to use this, just click start playbook. And when you click start playbook, what happens is in the background, the AI prospector goes out and goes contact by contact, company by company, seeing if they match your description here. If they match your description, we'll go ahead, we'll find their contact information, verify it in real time, and then start engaging them in all of these steps of this playbook. So it's completely automated. It's all AI based. That's essentially how it works. So there you guys go. Those are the 3 ways to find e-commerce leads on LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Of course, it's searching by job title with key terms, and of course, also searching by those companies themselves using account search, and then clicking view current employees and narrowing even further with that job title. If you have any questions or need help setting this up, feel free to reach out to my team or myself. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video.